What's up, gamers? Carmen Ryder here, back with another commentary. Well, now it's time for that update to the Ephrom situation, and unfortunately, he's not taking the allegations seriously, and the SCC is supporting him. So a while back, Star Rainbow, or XX Rainbow Monster EvXX, found out about my video on him. Now, this is no issue in and of itself, but Star's comment is edited, and here it says, Ephrom showed him the video. Now, to my knowledge, these two people are unrelated. They have no relation to him whatsoever. Which most likely means that Ephrom noticed I did a video on this person, went out of their way to contact them, and this is the result. I'm not sure what Ephrom was trying to accomplish outside of trying to start a weird proxy battle with me. Now, that might seem like a leap in logic, but Ephrom's mention was erased from the comment. Something about that is sus. Either way, Ephrom needs to fight his own battles. But as we'll see later, he's not too keen on doing that. But firstly, we shall take a look at the comment thread on the original Ephrom video in hopes to see how the CC truly handles allegations like this, and why these allegations have me more concerned than before. Now, these aren't all the replies because there's like 50 of them, but I'll go over the first and most important ones. Let's begin with Umbrus. I was informed of this video and I wanted to see if what was brought up, and it turns out it was. I would like to make a clarification for what was brought up starting from 4202. This is the timestamp where I start discussing the sexual harassment allegations. Hi, I'm the owner of POG and the sole admin of the chat. Having a single admin for an entire Discord server seems a bit irresponsible, don't you think? I think this is the first time Ephrom's kick was brought to the public, so that's great. I'm not sure whether this is sarcasm or not. Anyways, Ephrom's actions towards the light did lead up to his removal, but it was more of a catalyst. This next sentence made my concern go up by a lot, and you'll see why. He was mainly removed for that. Him being really dickish to other members of the group, just generally being sexual to other minors, like myself, though my history with Ephrom is best kept for another discussion, and trying to act like he was on the moral high ground, especially when it came to group decisions. Other minors? There's more? The fact that Umbrus mentioned other minors was very concerning to me. Now, I know Light was 17, and I assumed Ephrom was either 18 or 19. Now, that in itself is not pedophilia. I want to make that clear. But these other minors is what made this seem more like pedo shit than it did before. Before it was just sexual harassment, but now we're hearing about other victims? Now, let's continue with what Umbrus had to say. While you weren't exactly wrong, Ephrom's weird behavior towards Light wasn't the only reason he got kicked. There's probably more I could say about this whole situation, but not only is it relatively private, and something I don't have the time for or energy to go into as of now, I doubt I ever will have to, but you can never be too sure about these things. I only wanted to step in and quickly clarify that. That's all. Now, I can sort of understand why Light would want to keep something like this under wraps. Maybe Light was embarrassed by Ephrom. Maybe he doesn't want his parents finding out and revoking his internet access. Or maybe he's too afraid of Ephrom harassing him. However, when it's something as serious as sexual harassment, no one should keep quiet. Especially with Umbrus mentioning other minors. Must I remind you that he's in a commentary group with Mushroom Girl, a minor? If that's not a concern, then I don't know what is. So obviously I pushed further. Question: why was this allegedly kept under wraps / private? Is that true? If so, then why? This sort of thing is urgent and needs to be brought up. Especially knowing minors were involved. I knew Light was a minor, but when I checked, Light was 17 and Ephron was 18, so I didn't bother mentioning it since a 1-year age gap isn't pedophilia. Creepy and gross, yes, but not pedo shit. I feel like there should be more light shit on this sort of thing, and this shouldn't be kept under wraps. Actually, Ephron was 19 at the time this all went down. Light wanted us to deal with it quietly and didn't want to make a big stink about it. So calling out sexual harassment is making a big stink out of it?
Huh?
Isn't this the same argument people who defend Mini-Lad try to use when people call him out? You're making a big stink out of it. You're just milking the situation. Shit like that. Might I remind you that you confirmed that Ephron was sexually harassing minors? Plural? It's bad enough that he did this to Fractured Light, but who are these other minors? I can't be the only one who sees a problem with this, right? Either way, a majority of the SCC knew about what Ephron was doing, and now it is common knowledge. Then why is Ephron still on the platform? Why is MG around him? Why is this the first time I'm hearing about this? Surely if this was common knowledge, I'd know about this sooner. On the flip side, we didn't want to make the fact that he was kicked from Pog public to avoid causing a massive unwanted drama. Sexual harassment claims are not drama. We weren't hiding anything then, and we sure as hell aren't hiding anything now. I never said you were hiding anything, though. You do realize he's in a commentary group with MG, a minor. If he's allegedly doing pedo shit, then he needs to, at the very least, get the fuck away from her. Apologies, but I ain't gonna forget what Ephrom did and deal with it quietly. I just remembered, Doodletones brought the whole situation up in her Worst of 2022 list. Oh, you mean that video that's unlisted? The video where you have to specifically find it on a playlist on her channel? That Worst of 2022 video? Also, the video is more than an hour long and has no timestamps. Actually, it does have timestamps. In an unpinned comment. By someone who isn't Doodle. And has no specific names for anything. So there might as well be no timestamps. But fair is fair, so I gave it a watch. And in entry 8, Doodle actually defends Ephrom. Great start. But in entry 7, she does mention it, but only very briefly and plugs someone else's video, which she doesn't link in the description. However, I will give Tones this much. She did showcase Ephron practically chastising Light.
I don't know on which planet with fucking Thesaurus is banned, because I'm pretty sure that's the one you're from. And by the way, this wouldn't even be an issue if you actually shut the fuck up after you made your point.
That's a great way to talk to your victims now, huh? Might I remind you that Tones unlisted this video? And even then, Tones' words don't fully grasp what Ephrom did. He didn't just make someone uncomfortable through flirting. It was sexual harassment. Also, she doesn't mention the other minors Umbris mentioned, so this is nothing. So I decided to watch the video by barrel cord. The person tone's plugged, which is 53 minutes. And she doesn't mention what Ephrom did at all. At least not when I looked. Let's get back to that comment thread. Despite what you may think, we aren't letting Ephrom run amok. I have reason to believe otherwise, that will be obvious later, but okay. Word spreads fast around the SCC, so the moment Ephrom fucks up, everyone knows about it. Clearly not, because why did it take me this long to find out about it? Then why is he not terminated, and why did the immigrant and Neko Koda continue to associate with him? Why is Lio Convoy still friends with him? Why is Mushroom Girl and Communist Creeper around him? Clearly word hasn't spread enough. And of course, because I mentioned the immigrant, someone had an issue with it. Carmen, stop being xenophobic. Septi told you many times to stop calling her that. No. Also, aren't there more pressing matters to attend to? It's not xenophobic. I don't care if they told me to stop. I'm still gonna do it. Lio isn't friends with him. Are you sure about that?
Look, to speak personally, I've known Lyle for 4 years when this whole situation began. And throughout that time, I have known him as nothing but an honest, reasonable, and fair human being.
I don't know about you, but that sounds pretty friendly to me. Koda and Ephrom hate each other's guts. I don't know about Septi. Considering that they invited him to their video to call me a fascist, I have reason to believe that they are also friends. Temporal Times was established because he got kicked. Temporal Times is the CC group he and MG are in. He told me if he ever got kicked from POG, he would make a group of his own. Insert unfunny Bender joke here. Just because a select few people like him doesn't mean that a majority of the community is aware. So, you said the community wasn't aware before, yet now suddenly they have no idea? Which is it? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes in TTC? Shouldn't the fact that you don't know be a sign that you should do something about Ephron? I sure as hell don't. Stop trying to frame me and my group as the bad guys here. I never did that. The fact that you accuse me of doing so when I haven't is highly sus. So, Ephrom lied about being friends with Lio? Also, I'm not framing anything. All I'm doing is asking questions. And then, the man himself steps in. And addresses nothing.
Okay, I'll clear some stuff up. I am friends with Lio.
See? Told you.
I didn't start TTC because I was kicked out of POG. Although I had been talking about creating commentary groups since I was in POG, I delayed its creation for months, specifically because I wanted to avoid giving off that impression.
Okay. I don't care.
Lio hangs around me for the same reason Light still does. Because he understands that you can't judge a person by their worst actions.
Normally I would agree with this sentiment. Obviously, you shouldn't let drama get in the way of friendships. However, there's a difference between drama and doing sussy things with minors. Also, Lio would 100% disagree with this sentiment. No doubt about it.
I don't judge your interactions based on the dumbest things you do, Carmen.
Oh, well, I have proof that says otherwise.
Even though I know some of it, by your admission, is pretty stupid. And I would hope that you'd offer me the same generosity.
Nah.
I didn't commit alleged noncery. You did. Allegedly, of course. So, Umbris responds to Ephron. I find it really funny how you didn't address the main accusation at hand and decide to ignore it. Argue irrelevant information poorly, and proceed to throw someone under the bus, all while making a fool out of yourself. Did you really expect someone with grooming accusations leveled against them to come up with a good justification for said grooming? I genuinely got secondhand embarrassment from reading this comment. And next is a comment that's just perfect. It shows how the CC really feels about the situation, and it's just so telling about the priorities these guys have. And who could this have come from? Well, Coyote Lovely's best friend forever, Raven Pines. Dude, you just gave Carmen more possible ammo! Yeah, let's not focus on the nonce accusations, let's focus on Carmen Ryder making a video. Who cares about minors getting hurt, cause, you know, Carmen Ryder bad. Raven, I guarantee your comment was more telling than anything Ephrom has said up until this point. So I replied to Ephrom. Make a video addressing this stuff then. If you're innocent, then surely you wouldn't mind giving us the details. But Ephrom ignores me and addresses Umbris.
I directly called it my worst action in the comment, and have admitted to crossing the line with Light several times, including in the replies of the tweet from Guru Carmen Show. I will dispute anybody trying to call it pedo shit, because it's not. But besides that, I'm going to acknowledge that I did some shitty things and should have learned from them, which is a sentiment everybody who knows me, including people who deal with actual predators consistently, have acknowledged.
So Lio Convoy has acknowledged your actions against Light? Interesting. So then I replied. Then dispute it in a video.
Dispute what exactly?
What do you mean dispute what? You said you disputed. I told you that you should, and then you said, dispute what? Ain't no way you're this stupid.
That I crossed a line with Light? The thing I've already admitted to? That I'm not the same person now that I was then? Because if you didn't believe Light telling you that, why would you believe me telling you that?
Didn't Septi use the same excuse when confronted about Kumo being doxxed by them, then? Though there was some claim that they got a statement from Kumo about the doxing thing, and... Okay, I'm not exactly gonna accept Jonachrome logic. Yeah, guys, I did unforgivable things to my victim, but they forgave me, so, the criticism doesn't exist anymore. Also, I don't have a reason to believe you, but you still gotta speak to the masses somehow.
That a 19-year-old getting overly vulgar with a 17-year-old isn't pedophilia?
You're right. It's not pedophilia, but Umbris mentioned other minors, so this isn't an isolated incident.
Something which can be understood by anyone with even the most basic understanding of the topic at hand.
Well, Umbris said other minors, so who would those minors be? How old are they? And more importantly, why are you so opposed to the idea of making a video about this shit?
Other POG members who I needlessly told vulgar jokes to.
That's not answering the question. I asked for specifics.
At the time, I rationalized it by saying it was nothing worse than you'd hear on Family Guy. An excuse which I in no way stand behind anymore.
Good, because that's the same fucking excuse Natty Forsyth was trying to use. After a while, the conversation goes back and forth and turns into a yes you did, no you didn't fest, and I'm not gonna cover all that mess. Anyways, I had gotten some screenshots from someone in Loon's server of an SCC server run by Blaze the Movie Fan. Yes, that Blaze the Movie Fan. Let's have a look at what they had to say, shall we? She's always been horrible. Not even surprised, but I don't know.
Wow! I think this might be the first time I've heard you use that word. Not complaining. I just find that interesting.
God, I'm gonna fucking hate doing that voice by the end of this.
What? Sounds like Blaze the Movie Fan. Fucking go over some. Wahoo!
Fucking wow!
You're supposed to fucking jump on me. I'm an enemy.
I had a dream a Goomba was shocking my cock.
By the way, I'm probably gonna ruin a good Oni Plays joke. Sorry. That's not sarcasm, by the way. I mean that genuinely. I like Oni Plays too. Sorry.
Well, I guess that puts an end to this running gag.
Yeah, and also to all the incoming calls.
I'm still not over the fact she used my video to do it. I used a screenshot given to me by a fan. I literally had no idea who you were until now, because it was contextually relevant to why people had taken issue with the video you did on Light. It was not brought up as a gotcha. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter since I was bringing it up because Ephron was allegedly doing sussy things to minors. I don't care why you brought it up. This isn't an argument.
The best part about it was that no one was buying it.
How does this prove you're innocent?
Even Nil came back from break to tell Carmen how stupid she was being.
You know Nil can be wrong about things sometimes, right? Like, Nil can be incorrect about things and I'm allowed to disagree with Nil, right? Good. Yeah, it's so good. It's just so fantastic when my friends get away with their misdeeds.
Honestly, I didn't even bother responding for that reason. Nobody takes what Carmen says seriously, and no matter what I say, she'll take it as evidence.
Wow, it's almost as if this stuff is serious and needs to be talked about. I know Susie has some very stern words about Carmen's video. I have yet to actually hear these stern words. It was a long rant last I heard. My video had proof and evidence that most people didn't have. If you actually watched the video, you'd know that.
Her 8-hour video on Septi and Laya was on my worst of the year list.
I'll gladly take that trophy then.
Albeit not number 1, I might throw in the video on me as a tie.
I was really annoyed about Carmen learning I wanted people to keep it quiet and deal with it privately. This is about pedophilia accusations. You don't just deal with pedophilia quietly. And still chose to leave in that bit about guessing the CC shut me up at an earlier point. She clears it up at the end when not many people will still be around. Honestly, that video itself is gross. Like, the only reason I was fine with Beryl and Guru talking about it, because neither used it as some excuse to go after Ephrom. We're not going after Ephrom. We're criticizing him and asking for him to respond to the allegations. That's not a lot to ask. Yeah, as I said, I only brought it up to explain why some of what was said was a problem within the video.
And again, the fact that she did such a bad job at covering the story was the worst part.
Alright, so why don't you tell us the story? After all, you're innocent, right? Surely hearing it from you would be better. That's definitely one thing I've learned about Carmen. She tends to be very deflective for the sake of spotlighting others' misdoings. How's me exposing someone for sus behaviors around minors deflecting exactly?
I also can't get over her citing Guru as her only source, as if she didn't spend last year attacking Guru for going after Kurome. Kurome, for those who don't remember, wrote sexual DMs to Umbrus when Umbrus was 12.
So after the original on Space Guru 5 dropped, I talked to Kurome about this accusation, and they told me that they were trying to see if Umbrus was straight or not by asking her about fictional characters. Kurome didn't groom Umbrus, nor were they trying to. Secondly, how does this prove that you're innocent? Before I continue, I'm just gonna say this. I'm thinking of remaking that video on Guru and cutting the stuff about Joshua Montag out. Since there are stuff that Guru is at fault for that I want to bring forward, but I don't want to make it seem like I'm hiding from my fuck-ups. So if anyone's got any suggestions for that, let me know. Alright, back to the screenshots.
Honestly, I was more annoyed with how bad she was at understanding politics.
The fact that that's what you took away from that instead of wanting to respond to the accusation is telling. Considering her politics seem to be stuck in 2014, I can't say I'm surprised. I always hated this argument. Oh, you're right-wing or against wokeness? Go back to 2016. It's not an argument. It's just dismissive. Plus, it can be easily applied to anyone against a certain belief. Oh, you're against racism? Go back to the 1960s. You're a feminist? Go back to the 1930s. You're against homophobia? Go back to the 1980s. You're against transphobia? Go back to the 2010s. See how this type of arguing doesn't work?
She doesn't argue. She moves the goalpost.
How?
Denjinism is about communism as well.
I don't know what that is, and I don't care. This isn't about politics. This is about your accusations.
I'm not a fan of videos being over 3 hours long unless there's a good reason for it.
There is a good reason. There's a lot of receipts and proof.
Well, from what I saw in Doodle's notes about Carmen's 8-hour video, it's not that there was a reason for it to be that long. It was just that it was a video that was riddled with issues.
Care to explain what those issues are? No? Okay.
And by the way, China is better off.
No one cares!
Ephrom, now is not the time to argue politics when you're literally facing nonce allegations. What the fuck? Also, does anyone else see the irony in if they say they're commies coming from a trans man? No. Oh, she's transmedical too. That's right. Oh god. Okay, but how does this prove Ephrom innocent? She's like a little Blair White clone. Why do people always bring up Blair White every time I mention being Etruscan? I've never even watched this person's content before.
I'd argue that that's an insult to Blair.
So does Carmen just believe that she has the final say on everything in existence or something? Blair kinda deserves it. I love how the immediate reaction to me bringing up genuine nonce allegation isn't, let's get rid of this problematic person, or let's present the receipts to prove Ephrom innocent. The immediate reaction is to bring up that I'm a Truscum and pretend that's an argument against anything I've said about Ephrom. That's very fucking telling.
If she thinks my opinion's on the CCP...
No. Have any of y'all seen her call with the Senate? What's the Senate? Oh, I can answer that for you. It's a server run by a man who thinks it's okay to dox people and harass others' family members due to internet drama. A guy who played plausible deniability with genuine predatory people, threatened to ruin the life of a trans person because he was called out for dead-naming him, sided with a person who has a history of harassing others, and despite said person being an anti, they've engaged with lolicon content before. I know that at least one of you knows some of this already, because I've been DMing you. Oh, you don't know? Venus, aka Slumber, reached out to me after I received these screenshots to check on me due to the thing with Septiposs threatening to sue me, temporarily tanking my mental health. Why even mention Slumber then? Well, for one, she has a video on me planned, and two, I'm hoping that this is a wake-up call for her and, frankly, everyone else. Let's get back to the screenshots. They then bring up the Senate call, which is funny because earlier Ephrom himself said, I don't judge your interactions based on the dumbest things you do. Well, what's this then? Is this not you judging me for past actions? I've had people bring up drama and arguments before, which is already stupid. But you can't say, I don't judge you for past actions, and then do exactly that. After this, they talk about doodle clones for a bit, and then the topic ends up on me as Slumber X Petty in regards to how I responded to a comment she made, where she admits that the Ephrom stuff is important, and tells me to not save it for the end. So I told her if you're watching a drama video, you should just by default watch the whole thing, which, yeah, you should. At best, Carmen Ryder deflects or ignores criticism, and at worst, she's a bigoted lolicon who needs to get off the internet. Ah yes, committing wrong things should get someone banished off the internet. The West is truly fallen. I wouldn't argue that at worst isn't even the worst thing you could call her. I was considering calling her a pedophile, actually. So your response to me outing your friend for potentially engaging in nonce behavior is to deflect that back against me? Again, that's really telling. I just chose not to because the accusation itself is arguably substance depending on personal belief. Oh, I was just going to say she is what she likes. So a child. Ah, so we're taking the Lyo convoy route. Instead of addressing the accusations, you decide to not only deflect, but make more accusations by calling me a nonce. So for a while they just go on about me being a lolicon. Whatever, this isn't news to me. Just calling me a nonce while also not calling me a nonce. Ironically in the presence of someone with actual nonce allegations against them, while also calling me a Nazi. Pause and read if you want, I don't need to go over this as it's nothing. Afterwards, Toga posts a meme with me as the Joker saying, we live in a sensitive society, to which, yeah, we do. But that's not the main reason I showed you this. Basically, I send this meme to my server with the caption, Ephrom when you say I don't consent.
Oh, you got an ass on you, alright, see? That's what he's talking about. Spread your ass open, dude. You can do the rump shaker, huh? The thug shaker. Give me the thug shaker, dude. Shake your ass. Take your hands off it and shake that shit. Pull your shirt up. I know you can shake it. Shake it. Yeah, that's some thug ass right there. Oh yeah, that'll work. You got the booty, dude. Goddamn, look good, bro.
And Toga responds with that meme. Feeling extra petty that day, I sent a screenshot of him in the SCC server with him and Ephrom in the same screenshot. And Toga left. Didn't even want to confront me or anything. He just ran away. Now, with the context out of the way, let's continue. Isn't Virgo confirmed to be 13? I think she said something to that effect in her drama with Need XD. So wait, I thought you said that you had a problem with me taking screenshots / evidence you showed out of context Yet you're doing the same here. Also, it's at 13 to 17. Mainly because I hadn't settled on an exact number yet. But I have settled now, though. It's 16. She's fictional. Cope.
Just left Carmen's server because she screenshotted a conversation from here.
I didn't do it. Someone else did. But that doesn't matter. Why are you against screenshots in a public server? What are you scared of? What are you hiding?
I hope she thought about what I said about her being anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I did. And I realized that it wasn't anti-Semitism. Your video on me is on the chopping block. After a while, Blaze chimes in about that.
Could you tell me who that is? I will gladly ban that person.
So you found out you were being screenshotted, and the first instinct you have is to ban the person doing it? Your first instinct isn't to get rid of Ephrom, or use this as an opportunity to prove Ephrom innocent. The first thing you wanted to do was to ban whoever told on you. Blaze, your Mario pissing video put you in such a high position of power. You do realize that, right? I wouldn't want to turn you into a milkshake duck after your grand contributions to the Oni Plays community. Not that I'd actively find a reason to turn you into a milkshake duck, but you know how these things work. Either way, this isn't a good look for you or anyone else. After all, this community just recently dealt with a significant amount of people getting exposed for being friends with V Omega. We wouldn't want that happening again, right? I don't want that. You don't want that. Ephrom doesn't want that, so either prove Ephrom's innocence or kick him to the curb. Either way, that's all I have in regards to Ephrom's predator allegations. I just wanted to make this update since clearly people have not gotten the hint. Anyways, gamers, have a good night.
So am I. So am I. So am I.
But before I go, I'm gonna cover Ephrom's video on Rev, since I'm just that bitch. See, Slumber? I can present the allegations first and the content later. Aren't you glad I listened? Aren't you glad I took your advice? The video is titled, Really, Rev? One Shot. The way Ephrom put one shot in brackets can only make me think of Spamton and nothing else.
What are you? Pick up a cupcake. 2 gig by hyperlink blocked.
Anyways, let's get into it.
Now, unfortunately today, we are repeating this situation with this VTuber named misandry, who missed the opportunity to label herself as misandry with a simple addition of a letter N in her name, but nonetheless. So this thread caused a lot of controversy, and it was the beginning of today's topic. So in this thread, she has some screenshots between her and what I would guess I would call her former lover. It was a male VTuber she was having e-sex with. Now the problem with that is that this male VTuber hid the fact that he had a girlfriend at the time this all occurred.
You know, Rev, I already find this thing you do where you take tweets and twist them and look for things that aren't there to prove the person you're talking about hates men.
Her tweet literally says, "This is what we mean when we say male VTubers ain't shit." How is that not misandrist? This is a tale as old as time. Girl finds guy she likes, girl gets attached to guy does bad thing, girl hates all men because of pre-existing misandry.
To be incredibly stupid, but when you're doing it regarding somebody who just went through an incredibly emotionally difficult situation, it just becomes shitty.
Being emotionally stressed isn't an excuse to be sexist. By that logic, I mean, we should give Elliot Roger a pass, because, you know, he was rejected all his life, and he went through so much emotional damage. You know, all the girls all rejected him. He's not a monster who murdered people, who killed people because he's a terrible person. He's just a sad little boy. He just got rejected all his life. He's just so sad. All he wanted was love. Brings a tear to my eye. See how that argument doesn't work? See how that sounds gross? I know that sounds extreme, but this is the same rhetoric, and I hate using this word because of how it's used as an ad hominem. Incels used to defend him. But I guess it's okay if a woman does it, right?
Obviously, somebody is not going to word themselves the best in that situation, so doing this just feels, well, tactless.
Maybe don't hop on Twitter when you're in the middle of an emotional episode.
It also makes you look desperate to push this narrative that people in the VTubing community are hating men left and right.
There are female VTubers that don't think too highly of men in the community. Fruit was recently exposed for cheating on her drafted husband and abusing the copyright system to silence those who called her out on it. Not to mention this tweet by VTuber Ruby Vox that says that men who criticize female creators should learn how to suck dick.
Every man who complains on the internet about something a woman does should have to, learn how to suck dick really good before they're allowed to talk to women again. You gotta learn how to swallow your pride and somebody else's and then you can come talk to me.
Learn how to swallow some without making a face, too.
Yeah, without making a face.
Come on.
Without making a face. You don't have to be attracted to it. It's not about your sexuality, but you clearly have some toxic masculinity that you need to work through. And I feel like a consensual, platonic sucking would really help you get through it.
By the way, if you want to hear more about Ruby Vox's issues, feel free to watch the video Ruby Vox Is Not My Voice by Redgear. He's done a fantastic job covering Ruby's little Twitter spats. But yes, misandry does exist in the VTuber community.
When the best example you can give is a small Twitter account who said the things you mentioned again while going through an incredibly difficult situation.
Being a small Twitter account is not an excuse to be a misandrist. She's not a victim. She got caught making bigoted statements and got called out. Anyways, gamers, have a good night. For real this time.
So am I. So am I. So am I.